Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this great big universe. My name is Helena, and thank you so much for joining me again for another episode of Love Unlocked, where together we decode the mysteries of the universe. Now, today's episode is basically identifying the three waves of volunteers. Are you one of the three waves of volunteers? Do you know what the signs are if you're one of the three waves of volunteers or a light worker? Are you a light worker? Have you ever met a light worker? But how would you know for sure? So today we have special guest Cynthia, back by popular demand, here to help us kind of weed through all the info that we see online and really know, how do we understand if someone else is a light worker? Are there signs? Are there symptoms? Are there certain characteristics? And don't forget to watch to the end of the video so that you can find out one of the more unique signs, whether or not you are one of the three waves of volunteers. Hey, Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for being here. So I was just letting the viewers know who you are. This is Cynthia. She is one of the more esteemed writers on Quora, one of the more beloved people on the platform that shares so much to help other people. And today we are going to go over identifying the signs and symptoms of the three waves of volunteers. Are you a light worker? Are you an empath? Are you one of the three waves of volunteers? Cynthia, would you like to give the viewers who might just be tuning in for the very first time a little bit of backstory on Dolores Cannon, who she is, and a little bit about her work, because she is the person who actually coined the phrase, the three waves of volunteers?
Yes, Dolores Cannon was a QHHT therapist that started out basically putting people under hypnosis to help them quit smoking. And person after person, after thousands of people, she ended up tapping into the superconscious of many who happened to be one. And with that, she learned about the three waves of volunteers, who basically are star seeds, from what she writes. And we started out right after World War II, as she put, reincarnating, as souls jumped in to help with the planet. And right after 1945, around or about 1945.
So one of the questions that seems to be being asked all over the platforms that we use is, what are the distinctive characteristics? And it's almost become like the popular thing. People say, well, I'm an empath. Well, I'm a light worker. What does that mean?
A light worker encompasses so many different characteristics. So we can't just say they're one of personality, for instance. An empath, a lot of people that were born back in the 40s, they discovered, or late 50s, they discovered they were empaths, either people that actually did not like a body. So they were desperately trying to get out. So a lot of those people also were diagnosed with illnesses, but they're not ill. So basically it's their soul energy that has been helping on a planetary level. We didn't even realize that until certain people of a certain frequency came together and said, wow, what's this all about? And that's when a lot of people take, they coin the phrase awakened. And, but what is awakening? You know, that's another topic, but yeah.
That makes sense. So awakening is like the spiritual experience of becoming more astute, more tuned in to your universal energy, your soul energy, and the universal energy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So one of the more commonly shared symptoms that light workers and empaths seem to have is heightened sensitivity. That seems to be across the board. Could you tell the viewers a little bit about what heightened sensitivity really means?
Heightened sensitivity is basically people in human form that is sensitive to energy. And you can sense a person's energy. For many of the people that can resonate with us, you can sense a person's energy when you enter a room, or perhaps the lighting is too strong, or you have the ability to see a fluorescent light flicker. Some people just see it as a light. Sensitive people see it flickering. So we're very highly sensitive. I call it having your radar tuned at all times. And it can be very unnerving. It can be very unnerving. But that's what heightened sensitivity is in that regard. If you have another question, I'll be happy to answer it.
One of my questions is that a lot of the viewers have sent me is they want to know the fact that they can tune in to other people and sense their emotions, sense their feelings. And I'm not talking about just being able to complete a sentence of, your loved one, what they're going to say because you know them so well. I mean, a sense of knowing something's going to happen, almost premonitions, precognitive existence memories, things like that. Could you tell us a little bit about how that works?
A lot of us have we didn't know that we were having premonitions. They were just, and people will resonate with this, almost like a light bulb that goes off in our minds. Like say 30 years ago, we thought, ooh, I was just talking to somebody about RoboCop, for example. And I said to my children, I said, that's us in the future. But why did I think that? It was a premonition. So it was just a thought that came almost as an aha moment that many of us just take for granted, but we don't realize that everybody's got this, or there are many people like us who have this.
Some of the symptoms that somebody might experience with heightened sensitivity, do you have any examples or personal experiences that you can share?
Yeah, I can give you an example for the day. It's like the example du jour. This whole weekend, I've been contacted by people who have anger issues. I'm talking rage, and it's like, what's really wrong? Is there anything that wrong, or are you having, with the frequency shifts we are experiencing, we're also experiencing heightened sensitivity. So that can manifest in anger, depression, sadness. And if you can teach yourself to do an emotional check-in, which most people don't know how to do or aren't even aware of. And you can kind of say, hey, wait a minute, where are these feelings coming from? Are they my own? Is it perhaps the world at large? Are we picking up on their emotions? For instance, today, I was very sensitive, on edge, and had no reason why to, for that, to even feel that way. And then I got a phone call from my neighbor saying, I need to go to the hospital. Please come down here and sit with me. I said, okay, that's where that one's coming from. But we might be picking up on our neighbor, another neighbor, or even telepathically, we could be picking up on somebody on the other side of the world, which was my experience yesterday.
Do you want to share a little bit about that experience with telepathy?
Yeah, it was just a friend of mine that I say she's part of my soul group. And how I learned this is by telepathy. And we practice. Are you thinking about me today? Because I'm thinking about you. So is that you or is that me? And this is what I get out of my head. I was just thinking about you. So now it's gotten to be a game. So I'll do a check-in with my friends, as I'll call them. Soul group gets a little taken out of context sometimes. But it's like, I'm thinking about you. Are you okay? We do a check-in with each other just to see how they're doing. But that's how this has culminated within the past year. It's just coming to a head. So a lot of us are feeling very, very sensitive, easily angered. And, we're trying to figure out where's that anger coming from. Anger was just the emotion of the weekend. It's not always anger.
Yeah. And that's very true. That's very true. I feel like a lot of us have been on edge as well. And one of the things that is a common theme with empaths is also the feeling like you're an outsider, feeling a little bit isolated. Am I the only one feeling this? Am I the only one going through this? And you just explained how you could do emotional check-ins with yourself, check in with the people that you're thinking about, and so on. So one of the other aspects of this, I guess I should say, symptoms of being a light worker or empath is a yearning for purpose. Do those
Yes.
who resonate with being a light worker or an empath have an internal yearning for purpose? And what might that purpose be? Is there a greater purpose? Do we each have our own purpose? Or is there a greater purpose that we're all going to connect into by doing our own, fulfilling our own purposes in life?
Our own purpose leads to the next person's purpose, and then we join that person, and we learn together what that person's. For instance, you call me a medium magnet. These people all have purpose. And then we eventually learn that all together, we as individuals have purpose, and then joining hand in hand with these other people, we all have a different purpose, but combined, it all fits in it like a puzzle. Yeah.
So we're all like a collective consciousness.
Collective consciousness, yeah. And now there are people that are tapping into higher consciousness. And most of those people that I've met personally have mediumship skills. So one person I just hung up with was just rambling on about his day. And all of a sudden, 144,000 came out of his mouth. I said, "Ooh, where's that coming from?" And, "Oh, I'm glad I talked to you today. And, I don't know where that came from." I said, "Well, it's coming from higher consciousness. So thank you."
So that was a confirmation for you. Now,
for me,
Cynthia is a channel. She explains that she is a channel and that she can channel through energy her life partner, her husband, Joe, who passed away very sadly, but he's not gone. I will let her explain it to you guys, how she does it.
oh, I don't do it on purpose, just so that anybody who asks, "Can I talk to Joe?" No, that's not how it works. Because with he and I, we learned when we were together that we shared the same frequency. So with that, his thoughts were mine, my thoughts were his. They just commingled since he passed away. The word death doesn't even, we don't use that word anymore because there's no such thing. So a lot of times what he'll help me out with is speaking, and the thoughts just are generated and they just keep flowing. And you won't know if it's Joe unless he's frustrated.
Then he comes out.
Oh yeah, he can come out loud and clear, and I try to keep him at a
At
dull.
bay.
Yeah, I keep him at bay, but he does have a lot to say, and he's very passionate about the work that he's doing right now.
One of the more common traits that I've noticed between empaths, light workers, and so on, they are always talking about their intuition. And we spoke just a moment ago about premonition, about a sense of knowing. Can you explain to the viewers a little bit what that might feel like for them if they're experiencing it? How do they know for sure that they're experiencing a strong intuition and not just maybe wishful thinking?
Some people think that it's just their imagination. What's really great is if they can discuss it with another individual who experiences the same thing. Say people have contacted me saying, "Is this my imagination or is this my intuition?" And we work together to figure that out. So most light workers do have a heightened sense of intuition. Sometimes we know when a loved one's going to pass away before they even pass away. It can be very daunting. So collectively coming together and discussing these issues, or for a lot of people, because of the planetary changes right now, it is daunting for them, and they actually feel like they're losing their marbles. So they need a voice, they need an ear rather than a voice. Yeah.
That takes me to one of the more unique aspects of being a light worker. We all think of light workers as being these kind, helpful souls spreading love and light, right? So one of the more unique aspects seems to be that individuals who identify as light worker and empath are drawn to helping or healing professions or hobbies. Maybe they're a volunteer at a charity, or maybe they foster animals. Maybe they are helping their neighbor, just as you did today. Maybe they are drawn to being life coaches. Maybe they read tarot cards. I have a lot of friends who read tarot cards and whatnot. So my question is, does that seem to be a common theme between them? Am I correct on that?
Yes, it's a common theme. Most people have, what I've noticed throughout my life is they have a innate willingness, not, and people will might say this is codependency, but it's not. It's just the eagerness to help others. You see somebody who's got a flat tire, you want to pull over and help them. For instance, my husband used to see a person in a restaurant eating alone. He would go into that restaurant. He would purposely go into a restaurant, find a person that was eating alone and join them so he could bring them a smile. So that was one of the most wonderful things that amazed me about him, is that he would purposely seek out others to help. And most light workers do.
So let's say, and I'm going to ask you this because you are the expert on this.
What?
Let's say that I'm somebody who is seeking help. Now, I know what you mean. You just described basically a good friend of mine who works in mental health. She will, and I always tell her, be careful, but she will be driving along. She will see somebody on the side of the road that is broken down. I'm thinking, don't stop. They look like an axe. Don't stop your car. She's like, no, they're fine. They're nice. And she will give them a ride. She's very religious, very, very Christian, very nice woman. She always wants to do for others. And that's commendable. But let's say that you're somebody who is in need. How do you know that the person that is offering to help you is truly authentic and a light worker? If they say that they're a light worker, how do you know that truly they are a light worker? Because there are some people, I'm sure, in this world who they're not actually interested in helping people, but they want to use the word light worker.
Right. Nobody, to my knowledge, nobody has used the word light worker. I wouldn't have used it myself. I'd be saying, I'm here to help you.
Okay.
With my husband, same thing. I want to help you. Let me give you the jacket off my back is what he would do. But we wouldn't come out and say, hey, I'm a light worker. I have been contacted, though, by other friends of mine that are younger and trying to find their purpose. And I kind of have a feeling of what that purpose is, but until they come to that conclusion themselves, I can't say anything. So I was contacted not too long ago by another friend, and she said, I think I'm a light worker. And I said, yeah, no kidding, but I had to let you get to that part. And so what she does is she takes her skills that she's learned throughout her life, and she works in the healthcare industry. And so she's just a walking angel, but didn't realize it until her awakening type of thing. I use that loosely. So,
Awakening. That takes me to another question, and one of the more unique, as I promised the viewers, one of the more unique aspects of being a light worker is being drawn to nature. That seems to be a common theme in everybody's life who is a light worker or empath. So is that true? Do you see a lot of light workers and empaths that are drawn to nature, that are interested in helping the environment even, maybe?
Yeah, and it's Dolores Cannon wrote that a lot of people, and I do know one personally, he's drawn to nature. He loves the ocean. However, he's so sensitive to energy, he can't have a lot of people around him. But it's the ocean, because he lives on the ocean, that keeps him grounded and helps him. Just the ocean waves are helpful to him. But it's as I observe him, it's his energetic presence that draws people. And he has a hard time with that.
I can imagine he probably does. Pretty much everybody who I've ever seen people discuss light work and doing better, basically raising the universal vibration is what a lot of people say. How would one do their part to raise the universal vibration?
There are some people that just need to be themselves. They don't even have to do anything. They can just be sitting in their house, but there will be people, and I've actually witnessed this, that if one person in particular, he was just sitting out in his on his deck sunning himself one day, and as I was watching him, people just started gathering on his porch. And I said, do you realize what you're doing? And he said, I'm not doing anything. I said, no, but there's something about you that's drawing people to you, and that's his soul energy. So he doesn't have to do anything. He just has to be himself. Yeah.
Is it true that a lot of light workers and empaths and members of the 3 waves of volunteers, unconventional beliefs, criticism, people that say, I don't believe you?
Yeah, they'll say they don't believe you. A lot of us are highly intuitive. So there's one person I think believe you and I know that knows our past and our future, and it's pretty scary when we talk to him. You can just reach into the depths of our soul and actually tell. I was told my past life the other day. So can you just repeat that question one more time?
Oh, I was asking about criticism and skepticism. Do you ever, yeah, because you channel Joe. And again, if you're just tuning in, Joe is Cynthia's deceased husband. She can still channel him, and he acts as a guide in this from the spiritual realm through the veil. But she explains a lot in her writing. The veil is thinning, it's almost non-existent. So
Yeah.
I was wanting to know for the viewers, do you ever receive criticism or skepticism from people who say, Cynthia, I don't believe that you are actually channeling Joe or anybody, and so on? Do you ever have, and are your unconventional beliefs, because I feel that they would definitely be falling under unconventional compared to what normal society usually assumes is, practical and typical. Do you ever run into naysayers?
I run into naysayers, but I also don't tell people that I do that. It's not something that I go around saying how I'm channeling Joe. That's not even something that I even think of saying, but I can give you an example. Because if I'm very, very, very happy, or maybe I'm not on a real good day, a little angry, he seems to flow. He flows more when I'm very happy. And he's a jokester, so look out. But there's a woman that is actually, she's a very good friend of mine that we were working together after she lost her mom. Joe passed away the same year. And we were just hanging around together. And she made me happy. She was, we made each other happy. But we were discussing another person that we have in common. And all of a sudden I looked at her and I said, that person was shot in Vietnam and held his hand up to get his ticket home. And she looked at me. No, she said, thanks, Joe. And I didn't know I was doing it. So that was like the beginning. So I'm like that. And but she was the first person to see him open the door for me at her house when he passed away. So she has the ability to see spirit. So she can actually recognize who's speaking, which is pretty cool. And sometimes he speaks different languages now, and sometimes that'll come through me too. And she sees that. So it's more than a discussion, it's a whole book.
And Dolores Cannon was the hypnotherapist who does, is it QTT?
QHHT.
QHHT. I always get those confused. QHHT, which stands for Quantum Hypnotherapy Healing Technique.
Right.
And what she used to do is help people stop smoking, eat healthier, get less stress in their life, things like that. But over time, she started experiencing strange commonalities as far as what her patients were conveying to her during session. And she coined the phrase the 3 waves of volunteers. Do you want to share a little bit, Cynthia, about what kind of communications that she received from her patients? Because I feel like a lot of the viewers who identify or want to find out if they can identify as a light worker or empath is one of the three waves of volunteers might want to compare their own experiences and their own thoughts to what was conveyed during those sessions.
Well, she had thousands of sessions. So the one way and people are buying it, the book now, because they want to have more information. And I can't give it as much as she can in that book.
We will put a link to that book down below.
Yeah. But she described the three waves as being the first wave could have been, now she's correcting this through many mediums around the world, could have been antennas, people who received information. The second wave could have been just people just being born for their light energy. They don't have to do anything but be themselves, like I mentioned, but the first and second wave can also overlap, and they have the same characteristics. But I would really suggest reading the book because she talks about extraterrestrial and how extraterrestrials are involved, and especially now.
Is that different from an indigo?
Oh, indigo children are very, very interesting. Indigo children also could have been born in the 50s or earlier. And again, overlapping some, like I said, antennas, indigos. I'm just noticing, oh, that could have been my friend that has this gift of mediumship, who actually was the first medium I ever met. And she's like 67 years old. And she has the ability to see spirit, as other indigos that I've met. They also have healing capabilities with their hands. And if anybody's seen the movie Indigo, which is on Tubi, I believe, Neil Donald Walsh is in that movie. You can see, like a 10-year-old child, how she can heal with her hands. These are the people that are coming to the forefront now.
Is that similar to Reiki?
Similar, but these are children that can actually walk up to you or see you from a distance, because, and I've experienced this myself, know that you have an illness, and they'll just place their hand on you and cure you. And I thought, my goodness, this is going to be tomorrow's medicine. But these are people that I've actually met that are next door to me. So it's not far off in our future. One person that I met is 40 years old, and it's actually very complicated. She, like a battery, sometimes they want to give us a hug and it recharges them. And she's able to use her energy. And I felt that she has just put her hands on me, and it's almost magical. It's much different than Reiki. I believe with Reiki, the hands are not placed on you. They're placed above you, if I have that correct, because I've only had that done once. But this is, they put their hands on you. So it's actually energy healing, person to person. Yeah.
So if someone has these abilities, would they intuitively know that they have it? I know that in Usui Reiki, they say that the violet flame resides in all of us, that it's basically free for us to all access. And that's why probably a lot of people give Reiki, as a gift to other people. But what if we are energy healers and we don't know it? What are the symptoms?
We all are. This is what we forgot. We all are. And even I forgot that. What we were trained to do was to go to doctors to diagnose us, to get a medication or a treatment, when many of us were just misunderstood as people. And I'm going to take epilepsy, for example. These are people that are highly sensitive to energy. They're so sensitive that a strobe light could throw them into a seizure. That's energy. Light is energy. Being around other people, energy. That one has been, and these poor people have been medicated for years. and it wasn't, it was just misunderstood. So that's just one example. But we are all energy, we all have energetic properties that we can utilize for each other. You might have one that I don't have, or that one that I don't realize I have, but all of us have.
So, quick disclaimer, this is not a replacement for medical advice. This is us talking, having a conversation. So, but yeah, there, Reiki seems to, and energy healing in general seems to be more appreciated now than ever. I remember a while back, if you talked about energy healing or anything of the sort, people would say, did you go off your meds? They would give you, they would laugh at you. But now I feel like everybody is becoming more understanding of things like alternative healing.
Well, they also comes from the mind, and a lot
from the mind.
Yeah, a lot of trauma, a lot of illness comes from the mind, and not from this lifetime, but perhaps other lifetimes. That's what Dolores Cannon was doing. She was putting people under hypnosis, finding out what was happening in other lifetimes, bringing it to the forefront, having them deal with it today. These people did not know on a conscious level that they were actually experienced past life trauma. For example, if they went over a bridge and didn't understand why they had the fear of heights, that may have been something that happened in a previous lifetime. Under hypnosis, she was able to say she even used two different names. So like, my name is Cynthia, maybe my name was Bob in another lifetime. Bob had an accident on the bridge. So Cynthia remembers just that fear. She's able to, other QHHT technicians, they're able to bring those traumas to the forefront in this lifetime and help people get over them. But there's a lot to it. A lot of energy. It's all energy. It's all energy.
And that goes back to the collective consciousness. We are all energy. That's what we are. Our bodies, just like Dr. Feelgood mentioned in a previous video, which I will link down below as well so that you can see it. He explains that we're all just energy. This is just the vehicle of our body that we are traveling around right now, and we are all moving forward in our lives together as a process, all of us, all energetic beings. So I want to go over a quick recap of these symptoms just in case, so that everybody can make sure that they get the full insight from Cynthia. Symptom number 1, heightened sensitivity. Symptom number 2, strong empathy. You are intuitive. You have empathy for someone else. You can sense their emotions. You understand your words will impact them. And you will be careful of your words and choose the right words, because you know how hurtful words would affect you. So you want to make sure that other people never experience anything like that. And one of the things I want to throw in here also, I know we're running short on time, but people who are empaths and lightworkers, I've noticed that even when they are bullied, they will not bully the bullier because they know how hurtful it is. I have some people like that.
Yeah. It's a struggle when you know that other person who's hurting, say your brother, and you struck them to make them stop hurting your brother. You know they're going to be hurting too. So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I say that a lot, but
empathy is off the charts with light workers.
Yes, it is. And some of us actually take on these symptoms of someone we love, and we're the ones that end up getting hospitalized. I've experienced that firsthand. Yeah.
We are going to have to cover that as an example on another video, how people pick up other people's energy, emotions, and symptoms. But that is another symptom of being an empath or light worker, or one of the 3 ways of volunteers. Next symptom is feeling like an outsider, feeling like maybe you're the only one who experiences this kind of thing, a yearning for purpose, knowing, a sense of knowing that you do have a purpose. We all have purposes. Even people who might not be light workers, we all have a purpose, but we are all important. We all have important purpose in this life. So know that you are important. The spiritual awakening process, not everybody goes through it at the same time, or maybe even at all, but feeling spiritually awake, a heightened sense of spiritual awareness is definitely one of the symptoms. Being drawn to the healing and helping industry. Individuals from the 3 waves of volunteers are often drawn to helping others, healing others, doing more for others, going out of their way for others. Connection to nature. There is an affinity to nature and a sense of connection when it's basically the people for the new earth who identify as the light workers and 3 waves of volunteers think about their choices constructively. Unconventional beliefs and perspectives are also sometimes a symptom of being a light worker or an empath or one of the 3 waves of volunteers. A ridiculously strong intuition, which I feel like kind of goes hand in hand with empathy, and
Yes.
being not just empathy, but being an empath. So those strong intuitions, sensing other people's emotions, being truly dialed in. And I know that for some people, it can feel scattering. You are so much of an empath that you are picking up things from other people that maybe you don't even realize, and it scrambles your brains like eggs. But having a strong intuition, being very intuitive, love-centered consciousness. Individuals from the 3 waves are often characterized by a love-centered consciousness sense about them. They focus on love, and this helps influence their decisions, their relationships, the moves they make in life. And yes, I am reading these from my phone because it is a lot. So, Helena, do you sound scripted? Yes, I do. So I want to let everybody know that I truly appreciate you being here. Are you an empath? Are you a sensitive person? Are you one of the 3 waves of volunteers? Are you a light worker? Please let us know in the comments down below. And Cynthia, thank you so much for being back with us. We are going to have Cynthia back again very soon for a very special video, very special surprise. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag quite yet, but I wanted to let everybody know it is coming so that they can remember to tune in. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you soon. Bye.